This video is made possible by Kuhl. What's going on, guys? It's Paul here with GearTest Outdoors, and like most of my videos, in this video I have a question about a piece of gear that I'm seeking to find the answer to, and I just wanted to take you guys along for the ride. So what I want to know is, what is the best pack liner? Or more specifically, I want to know if these more expensive pack liners are actually any better than these $1 and $2 options. So that's what I want to know. That is the goal of this video. Now, really quickly, if you don't know what a pack liner is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a separate bag that's made to line the inside of your backpack. And its primary goal is to be a waterproof barrier. So the idea is that you would put your pack liner inside your backpack, put some or all of your gear inside the pack liner, seal it all off so that if you say you hit heavy rain on the trail or something like that where your backpack gets soaked, at least your critical gear on the inside, like your sleeping bag, your clothes, your electronics, all of that stuff can stay dry. So with that said, I will introduce you to the 4 pack liners I'm going to be testing in this video, starting with what is technically the cheapest, and that is the Compactor bag. Not to be confused with a contractor bag. And the difference is that a contractor bag is massive, whereas this is closer to the size of like a standard kitchen trash bag, but it's still the thickness of a compactor bag, so it's a little more durable. And I say that it's technically the cheapest because you are going to have to buy them in a roll. I got this roll at my local Walmart store for $8, and it's a roll of 20 bags. So that equates to 40 cents per roll, which is why it's technically the cheapest, but you do have to buy them in a roll. But at least you get like a lifetime supply of pack liners, because these do last a while. They're definitely not one-time use. I've been using the same compactor bag as a pack liner for my last 6 or 7 backpacking trips, and it's still going strong. So you can get a lot of use out of one roll of these things. One thing to be aware of though, if you go with these specific Brute Super Tough bags, I didn't realize until after I purchased them that these are scented bags, clean, fresh scent, which if you're in an area with heavy bear activity may not be the best idea, but at least, you know, it keeps your sleeping bag smelling fresh. The next option that I'll show you here is the lightest of all 4 at just under an ounce, but it still only cost a couple of dollars, and that is the Nylofume bag. Now it's called Nylofume because these bags were originally made for wrapping things like clothing and food in when a house is being fumigated, which means it does also work pretty well as an odor barrier. The material feels really similar to cellophane, so that's the type of wrap that if you get something like a gift basket, that plastic wrap, that's kind of what it feels like. It's not the thickest material, but it is still pretty durable. So that's going to be the second option that we'll test. Now this next pack liner that I'll cover is also the heaviest of all 4, coming in at 3 ounces. This is the pack liner from 6 Moon Designs. This one is a 40D ripstop nylon with a waterproof coating, and it does have taped seams. That's really important to make it waterproof. That's something to pay attention to, is that some people don't use a pack liner thinking that their backpack is waterproof, and some manufacturers do use waterproof materials, but they don't tape the seams. So make sure that if you're going to go without a pack liner, that you at least have taped seams, otherwise water can get in around the seams. But moving on to this one, another thing you'll notice is that with these 2 pack liners, you just have to twist them to seal them off at the top, whereas this one is a roll top. So you can roll it down closed, and then it does have 2 clips to clip it together. And another thing that you'll notice is that this is the only pack liner that has a rectangular bottom. All of these other 3 come down to a point like a standard trash bag would. And finally, last but not least, well, maybe least, I haven't done the test yet, but we have the most expensive of all 4 coming in at $49 US. This is the ultralight pack liner from Z-Packs. It's a DCF, so it's made out of a Dyneema material, and it does have taped seams. This one is also a roll top, so you can roll it down. It has clips to clip it together, but the other feature that this has is a little layer of Velcro at the top just to help keep everything closed up. And for the sake of comparison, here are all the detailed specs for each pack liner, so go ahead and pause the video on the screen if you want to know more. Now, before I move on to testing these pack liners, I want to take a minute to say thank you to Kuhl for making this video possible, And if you're like me and you like to keep your gear organized when you're traveling, then you should absolutely check out their brand new Escape duffel bag. This bag has a ton of storage options, such as this side compartment, which has some stretchy mesh pockets for things like a passport. The main lid has 2 large stretchy pockets on the inside, and on both ends of the bag, there is a large opening here that is separated from the main compartment of the bag. So when you put your muddy shoes in one end, it doesn't get the rest of your clothes dirty. Don't ask me how I know. It has 2 shoulder straps, so if you want to, you can carry it around like a backpack. All of the zippers are water-resistant zippers. The fabric is water-resistant as well, and the build quality is top-notch. So if you're interested in this duffel bag, you can check it out at the link in the description below. And thank you once again to Kuhl for sponsoring this video. Now, one issue I know a lot of people have had with the Nylofume bags is just how noisy they are. And if you're trying to pack or unpack your bag while other people are sleeping nearby, that can be an issue. So here is a quick noise comparison of these 4 pack liners. Based on that quick comparison, I would say that the noisiest was definitely the Nylofume, with the second noisiest being the DCF bag. The third would probably be the Compactor bag, and then the quietest, I think, was the Nylon pack liner. So I'm planning to do 2 different tests to evaluate just how waterproof these pack liners actually are. And that first test is going to be basically a rain test. So sometimes if I can't keep my backpack inside the tent with me, the vestibule on the outside doesn't entirely cover it. So I have at times in the past just set my backpack inside the pack liner and set it under the vestibule to make sure that it's going to stay perfectly dry. Well, I want to know because of that if these pack liners will hold up in the direct rain. So for that test, which you should be seeing on the screen now, I'm basically just putting a sleeping bag inside the pack liners, and then I'm going to give each one about a 15-minute shower, and then I'll open it up to see if the inside is still dry. Out of curiosity, I decided to also test my Z-Packs Arc Air backpack without a pack liner. The Arc Air is made out of DCF, which is a waterproof fabric, but the seams are not taped. After each one spent 15 minutes under running water, I'm happy to report that the sleeping bag inside all 4 pack liners was still dry. But the sleeping bag that was inside the backpack was wet in a few spots. In fact, there was some standing water still in the bottom of the pack, and it was pretty clear that the water had come through the seams and had not soaked through the fabric itself. And speaking of having standing water inside a backpack, for the second test, I wanted to see if any of the pack liners would wet out over time if you were to get water puddled inside your backpack. The way I decided to replicate this was to pour 1 liter of water inside each pack liner. Now, I wanted to make sure that I was still testing the exterior layer of the pack liner, so I turned each one inside out before I poured the water in. Just as an example, I decided to also pour water in this nylon stuff sack, which I know from past experience is not waterproof. It's only considered water resistant, and within the first 30 seconds, we already had a pretty good shower coming from that bag. After 30 minutes, all 4 pack liners were still going strong, but around the 45-minute mark, I started to notice a slight drip coming from the DCF bag. It looked like the drip was coming through the corner where the seams meet and not through the fabric itself. That slow drip continued for the remainder of the test, and after 2 hours, none of the other 3 pack liners showed any leaks or signs of wetting out. So after doing these tests, what I would say about each of these is that for the compactor bag, if you're in a pinch and you're leaving tomorrow morning for a backpacking trip, you just realize you don't have a pack liner, then that would be a good option because you can find them locally, they're cheap, and as far as keeping water out, they work really well. The downside to the compactor bag is that they're kind of an awkward shape. They're not quite as deep as a typical hiking backpack, and they're a little bit wider. So if you have time to plan ahead, that wouldn't be my first choice. As for the Nylofume bag, I would say it's probably the all-around winner as far as just being lightweight and the cost and functionally keeping the water out. It worked really, really well. The downside to the Nylofume bag would be that it is a little bit loud, and the only method you have for closing it up is to twist the excess and kind of fold it over. That's the only way to close up the top. But otherwise, that would be a great option. Now, the ripstop nylon pack liner from Six Moon Designs actually really impressed me. I thought for sure that that liner would wet out whenever I did that water test, but it held up well. It is a little bit heavy. I think it was the heaviest one of all 4 of these, but otherwise it's 20 bucks, which isn't too bad. And if you want something that has a good roll top closure, if you're thinking you might use it for something other than just a pack liner at times, that would be a really good option. And finally, for the most expensive option back there, the DCF bag from Z-Packs. It definitely has my favorite closure system. I really like the Velcro strip across the top and the plastic clips. And DCF as a material from the other DCF bags that I have, they've all held up really well, so I would expect this one to be pretty durable. But as you saw from that last test, it did develop a little leak in the corner after 45 minutes. Now, doing a test like that was probably putting a lot more pressure on the seams than what it would experience when it's in a backpack, at least pressure against water. But none of the other pack liners developed that same leak. So to answer my question from the beginning of the video about whether or not these more expensive pack liners are worth it over these cheaper options, I would say functionally, just as far as keeping your gear dry, no, because these cheaper ones kept water out just as well, if not better, than the more expensive ones. But these more expensive pack liners are purpose-built as pack liners, so they do have some nice features like the closure at the top. So on a case-by-case basis, they may be the right one for you. Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know which one you would choose. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give the video a like. It really helps out the channel, and I will see you in the next video.